So the boy groups now, man. Like I feel like I don't know. Can they not harmonize? Can they? What's happening?
It's a little bit of both. They're not taught what I guess you say musical perfection is. They're not taught to stay in there and work hard and to really grind it out. I mean, they take what they get and they just roll with it, and there's no one really around to try to draw them into what real music is supposed to sound like, the blend, the tone, stuff like that.
Yeah. What are your, as far as what the industry was in the 90s to where it is today, what do you see to be the biggest differences?
I think that we're in more of a sound-driven industry than a music-driven industry. I think that we are in more of a repetition industry than a melodic industry. I think that the young kids that listen to music today are more in tune to someone repeating the same thing over and over again versus having a melody in the first verse and second verse and the bridge and doing some different stuff. Like a lot of kids nowadays think some of those older songs, they do too much. They're just used to someone repeating the same thing over and over and over again. So there's a disconnect there when it comes to the creation of songs. But we're in a programmed world. You know what I'm saying? We push buttons for everything that we do. So the kids nowadays, that's what they're used to. They push a button and everybody gets the same thing. It's very difficult now to put 10 artists up on the board and differentiate them because most of them sound the same.
Yeah, that's so, like, Boyz II Men and Jodeci sounded totally different.
Really different.
They looked so...
and Jodeci, all for one.
Yeah,
like everybody
wow.
had their own different sound, and you could differentiate from, you knew who Wanye was, you knew who Casey and JoJo.
Absolutely.
You could figure out which guy was doing what. So.
I have a friend of mine who's trying to get in the industry. He can really sing, and he said he's working with a producer, and the producer said, "You're doing too much singing."
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it is. And here's the sad part is that the producer is right because he's doing too much singing to appeal to the audience today. That they just, they're just not into melodic melodies. They're into 3 or 4 notes that carry the whole song, and it repeats and repeats and repeats. I mean, it's just what they're used to.
Tell me, because I'm a music geek, is there a song that you recorded that you were like, this is not going to be a hit, and it blew up? You're like, damn, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. In the Still of the Night, we thought it was.
It was beautiful.
We thought it was corny as hell. But we did it because it was for the soundtrack for I think it was a Jackson miniseries they had at the time, and
y'all were in the movie.
Yeah,
on the corner.
Yeah. And it was funny because none of the guys really wanted to, because it was a cappella, so nobody wanted to produce it. So we literally flipped a coin, and I got stuck producing it. So I had to go in and do it and lay down the parts or whatever, and we ran in one day and knocked it out. But yeah, it was a song that we really, really didn't care for.
What do you think? I was talking to Roxanne Shante about this. What do you think about this cultural appropriation argument? As an artist, as a Grammy-winning artist, R&B legend, what are your thoughts on it?
I think that sometimes we as urban artists, I just think that we black people, not knocking anyone else, but we have different talents, and music being one of those. Because it's one of those God-given things, we sometimes take it for granted. What I mean by that is that, we'll do a record or we'll do something great or we'll come up with some kind of trend or whatever, and then we'll walk away from it. And I think that, the other people on the outside admire what we do. And they say, okay, well, going back years, I like Chubby Checker, or I like, Fats Domino, or I like, even New Edition or whoever. And they emulate it because they're fans of it. And then what we do as urban culture, we go back and say, oh, well, we did it first, but we tend to sometimes abandon stuff and don't ride it all the way through. We'll do part of it, and then the pop groups, whoever, come around, and then they'll make their version of it, and then we get upset, but we're the ones who drop the baton. So I think that if we stay focused on, and I think it's because we just have so much diversity in our mind. We're always trying to do something different, and we don't always stay on the same track and just go out with that. We do that, and then we want to do this and want to do that, and then when someone picks, it's like that kid that has a ball and plays with it and then puts it in the corner, and then the other kid that doesn't have that ball says, hey, I like this ball. You got to play with it, and then you want to fight him to get it back. That's pretty much what it is. Got you.
I have to ask you, one of my favorite performances, you sang with Michael Jackson, you sang Heal the World, Boyz II Men. And it was really, really amazing. What was that experience like singing with MJ?
It was great, man. I mean, the greatest entertainer in the world and will always be. I don't care what anybody tells you. So, Mike was a good friend of ours. I mean, we went and hung out at him at the crib a lot up in Neverland and, rode the rides and played with the monkeys and all the good stuff. So, I love him to death because a lot of people don't really know the challenges that he had in his life. I mean, when you're a superstar from 7 to 8 years old, your life is different from everyone else's. So you don't always get to be a kid and do the things that kids do. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, why does he have monkeys and things like that? He never really got a chance to be the kid that we all grew up to have. So, he was one of those adults that said, well, I'm going to go back. I can afford now to have my childhood, so I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to have Ferris wheels, and I'm going to do all that other stuff. And other than that, business-wise, might have been one of the and not in a bad way, but one of the most shrewd businessmen that you know. I mean, Michael lived off of his publishing and everybody else's publishing. A lot of people don't know the story of him, telling Paul McCartney when he was a kid, saying, one day I'm going to own all your publishing. And, Paul kind of laughed it off, and sure enough, years later, he owned, like, majority of all the big Beatles songs, and they had a little tiff about that. So Mike was way ahead of everybody else, not just in the music, but in the business as well.